Bollocks! 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 Hi, hello from Toyah and Robert, and welcome to all our chums out there with burning questions. We are deeply unqualified, but we are prepared to shovel you some useless answers.
Firstly, thank you to everyone for your absolutely gorgeous birthday and anniversary messages. Robert had a beautiful birthday, we had a great anniversary, and my birthday was fabulous. It's been a very special week, so thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to start with Robert's Jewels. Have either of us, are we familiar with the American composer Bernard Herrmann?
Well, clearly yes. Bernard Herrmann is probably best known for his astonishing string parts, his score to Psycho, the Janet Leigh in the shower scene. His work actually is very, very broad. Much of it we will have heard without realizing it. One example for myself, the prepubescent Robert was a fan of Have Gun Will Travel with Richard Boone as Paladin. What I didn't know then was that Bernard Herrmann actually did the score for that TV show. Now, Bernard Herrmann was, I believe, an influence on another superb film scorist and composer, Howard Shore, who I met when Howard was the band leader for the Saturday Night Live band between 75 and 80. And Howard has written lots of scores for all of Cronenberg's films bar one, and listen to the guitars on Crash. I mean, it's superb. Howard is superb.
Going back to Bernard Herrmann, I want to put his life in context. Born 1911, passed away 1975. And this remarkable man did the most remarkable work in, to me, what is too short a time. If you listen to Wuthering Heights, which is like an opera, the opening sequence is breathtaking. And then, of course, he did Taxi Driver, I believe.
Yes, he did.
And this is one that I really love that he did. It's David Bowie's favourite movie, Jason and the Argonauts. And if you listen to the music of that, and this was a hand-animated film, it just broke so much new territory that it allowed the technology we have today and the flow of animation we have today. Bernard Herrmann really was in the zeitgeist for the whole of his composing life. Remarkable man.
Shall we also wave out to Ray Harryhausen for his remarkable stop-motion animation?
Yeah, definitely. Rafi Zabor, what's with the hair, Robert? Are you at least receiving signals on it? And would that explain a lot?
Rafi Zabor is one of my most respected writers. Respect, Mr. Zabor. And yes, you sussed it. I am picking up messages from the psychic internet.
I'd like to say that this is Fripp's now dominant ego. The accountant is dead, long live the new Fripp. His crown of glory, he is now a dapper dude, and that is official. And everyone who's going to see him play live with King Crimson this year, the new Fripp will be arriving on stage, and I have bet that he will get a 10-minute ovation every time he walks on stage on this tour that's coming up in the summer.
I'm sure there's a new generation of accountants coming along, dear.
We have a complex name here. I'm not going to insult them.
Maria Lena Cambria.
Toyah, on a few episodes, you've worn a stunning silver necklace that sits on your skin so perfectly it looks as though it's painted on. I'd love to know more about it. Well, I believe this is the necklace you're referring to. It's a gift from my sister-in-law, and they holiday, my brother and his wife, holiday quite often in Greece, and I believe this is off Santorini Island, where there is an active volcano. And a local artist on this island has made this necklace that impersonates molten rock. And that is where it's from. I've had it for about 10 years now. I absolutely adore it. And you are right. It's just the most perfect necklace for sitting on the neck. Beautifully designed. Chris Breda. Robert, how do you keep your hands off her for 5 minutes?
I practice a lot.
We do really love each other though, don't we? We're always cuddling. We always hold hands walking down the street. When we're sitting in a restaurant, we always sit like this. Very rarely do we sit opposite each other, and we're always cuddling. And sometimes we catch younger people just absolutely fascinated with us because we really are very tactile. And in the privacy of our own home, we're even more tactile and even less stressed than we are now. Would you agree?
Yes, dear.
My husband is so cute. And Gemma Newman wrote to me this morning. That's obviously Gary Newman's wife. And she just said, "How's the bear?" And she means Robert. He's known as a teddy bear in that family. And he is. He's a teddy bear.
It's true. I'm soft and I'm a pushover.
John A. Campbell. From all types of music you have performed over the years, is there any other genre of music, singing, you would attempt and put out there that you haven't done yet?
Well, you first on that.
Okay, gorgeous, brilliant Bill Rieflin, who was in Toyah and the Humans. We always intended to do a duet album based on Art Garfunkel and their style of singing. But Bill became too ill to actually sing this style of music. And we're huge fans, obviously, of the Beach Boys and the Mama and the Papas. So we always intended a harmony duet album. This doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It will just mean I will do this with another musician when I find the musician whose harmonies are right for my voice. And also, I've always wanted to do a classic 90s grunge punk rock album. And I will do them. I will do them.
Well, in terms of my singing, I'm going to stick with ballads. But in terms of musical genre, tango. Why? Well, partly because I love Argentina and I've seen tango in Buenos Aires. And I'm sure that where tango is properly performed, I mean the roots tango, a visitor from England isn't likely to be there. But along with blues, this expression of lives hard-lived has a reality and an authenticity which reaches out and pulls us in.
It also has a passion and a pride.
Yes, a dignity,
it's
an
a
astonishing dignity of the human condition.
And I think that's so glorious that music has helped. Well, these people have expressed their strength and their passion and their pride through music. That's where music is. It belongs to every community in the world, doesn't it?
Yes.
Kevin Tyler, if you could have one extra arm or one extra leg, which would you choose and why? Well, all I can say is an extra leg would be hard to disguise. So I'd like an extra arm that looked like angel wings on my back, I think. How about you, Robert?
Well, I'd have an extra arm, one so that I can accompany myself while soloing. An extra arm would also enable me, if I'm beating 5 against 4, my third arm could beat in 11.
Yeah.
And also, while I'm soloing, I could also be doing tapping on top.
I don't really want an extra limb. I've struggled enough in this body. I just don't want that kind of problem to deal with. I mean, what do you do if you've got an extra limb? How do you go to sleep?
Well, you could decline the offer, dear. Thank you, but
Thank you, but no.
Yeah.
I will remain as me. Malcolm Coghill, I must ask, do you know who invented windows? Imagine life in houses before windows, all dark with no light, then a genius invented a window. Do you want to know how they were invented?
I'd love to know.
Okay, well, the Romans invented it. It was kind of Roman Egypt in Alexander, circa 100 AD, but there is proof of 300,000 AD that there was glass being made from fires with sand, very crude glass. So Romans invented glass, so we believe, but China, Korea, Japan always used paper for windows, and that was economy. Now what's interesting is Japan has multiple earthquakes, and how on earth did these windows protect them from any of the earthquake storms or the vast changes in weather that they have on that particular two islands? It is fascinating. But here in the UK, where we developed far slower than the Romans, we had wooden huts. They were vast, where the whole village would meet in them. Absolutely massive, like giant tents, but they were made from mud and wood and straw. No windows, only doorways. And then at the top was an opening at the top of the roof, which allowed the smoke out. Now in Peterborough, we have Stone Age villages where people actually live as an experiment, a social experiment. And I filmed there, and I can tell you the smoke never goes out of that hole. It smokes the whole room and you're coughing the whole time.
Wow.
So do you know any stories about windows?
Well, no. I mean, I could say yes and witter on, but no, that's a good answer.
Well, this leads us really well to the Blue Nomad, who wants to know if you've got any more stories about Frippertronics.
Oh, endless stories about Frippertronics. All right, only one for today. Last week it was Frippertronics. We're in the kitchen having a cup of tea in Brian's kitchen when Discreet Music, the album, was recording itself in the front room. Well, we were getting ready to go off and tour Spain, then France, and a couple of shows in England. And we played two in Spain. The first one was in Madrid, and there is another story on that for another day. And the second one was in Barcelona, and we were playing in a circus. In a round, it was where they had the circus. So we played on stage, and bear in mind these were early days for Frippertronics, and people really didn't know what was going on, and neither did we. So we performed, took an interval, performed, and music kept playing, and people were still there wondering what was going on. So we crept around the ground floor where you would open the entrance to the round sawdust where circus performers would be, or in this case, the audience. And we opened the door and looked out, and a young American came up, and he said, "Is it over?" And Brian, with like missing a beat, said, "It is for us, but not for you," and then closed the door. So that's the Frippertronics story for today.
That's made me remember I was on the road touring The Taming of the Shrew, and I was playing Kate, the lead in Shakespeare's Taming of the Shrew. And we were at Winchester Theatre Royal. And at this time, because it's now been modernised, and this was the late 80s, about 1989, I was waiting to go on for the very last scene, which was a huge world-famous speech that lasted for 2 pages about submission to the dominance of Petruchio. Very tricky speech. And the stage door at that time was buffered right up to the entrance to the stage. So there was my entrance to the stage. Literally, there was the stage door. And I always, before going on stage, before a speech like that, run the lines in my head. So I was in the wings, literally about to step onto the stage when the stage door opened. A fan pulled me back by my costume, handed me about 5 albums and said, "Sign these, please." I was late on stage, and I remember I kind of shoved the albums in his hand, shut the stage door, looked up at the lighting guy in the flies, and I went, "What the?" And got on stage, and everyone was waiting for me. The whole of the audience heard the stage door slam, and I had to compose myself to do this speech, and I was almost laughing all the way through it, because my wonderful Petruchio, John Labanowski, saw what happened, and he was in shock, but he was on stage. He couldn't do anything about it. That was such a great production. So many things like that happened. Now, it was our birthdays this week, which we mentioned at the top, and I'm now officially 16. And I've explained this to Robert, that in my childhood, there were a few tough birthdays, because my mother became very ill. She was expected to die and she survived. But on my birthdays, often I was left alone while my mother was rushed to hospital. And my 16th birthday wasn't a great birthday. And next year I'm going to be 12 because my mother wasn't supposed to survive my 12th birthday. And I've just decided that I'm just going to regress and celebrate birthdays I never had. So that's amused people. But also what's amused people is that on my birthday, I was given something made by Sydney Jake, commissioned by my husband, which is this gorgeous, gorgeous guitar. And Sydney Jake, since last week, has been contacted from around the world by people with dyspraxia who want him to teach them. And part of the success with me is the conversation that a good teacher unlocks everyone's potential. And nurturing and unlocking, I think, are the signs of a good teacher. So what is the magic chord today, Robert, and how are we going to do it, considering that I now have been gifted this extraordinary guitar made by Sydney Jake, and I'm getting a little bit better on guitar than I ever have been.
The magic chord this week, Sweet Lips, is for you to choose.
Okay, it's going to be a sequence of G, A, no, it's going to be a sequence of G, E, C, and A.
All right, let's see how that sounds.
And look at this guitar! G, E, C, A?
Magic chords.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stay safe, everybody. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you tomorrow for Toyah and Robert's Sunday lunch.
Bye from Robert as well.